wearing sunglasses to this morning. I forgot my original eyeglasses. So, but if I don't have them on, I can't read.
You thought you were cool.
So, okay. The reading for this morning is from James 1:19 through 27 and page 1479 in your pew Bibles. Hearing and obeying. My dear friends, you should be quick to listen and slow to speak or to get angry. If you're angry, you cannot do any of the good things that God wants done. You must stop doing anything immoral or evil. Instead, be humble and accept the message that is planted in you to save you. Obey God's message. Don't fool yourselves by just listening to it. If you hear the message and don't obey it, you are like people who stare at themselves in a mirror and forget what they look like as soon as they leave. But you must never stop looking at the perfect law that sets you free. God will bless you in everything you do if you listen and obey and don't just hear and forget. If you think you're being religious but can't control your tongue, you are fooling yourself, and everything you do is useless. Religion that pleases God the Father must be pure and spotless. You must help needy orphans and widows and not let this world make you evil. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right, folks. If I told you that the letter of James is one of my favorites, you go, oh, they're all your favorites. No, they aren't. There's some really ugly stuff there in the Old Testament about knocking babies on rocks and stuff like that. I don't like hitting babies' heads on rocks. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? It's a psalm, and the person who wrote it was really, really angry with some neighbors who were like enemies, and prayed to God that they would take the babies and knock their heads on the rocks. So no, that is not my favorite. But I love James, right, Judy? Judy likes James. Anybody else like James?
I do.
Hey, you like James? Yeah. Really cool. Anyway, he has a lot to say. Not all that many words. He talks about listening before the mouth goes off in operation. Well, that isn't a bad idea. How many people have ever, in their whole lives, ever said something they wish they hadn't said?
Yeah.
Yeah, James is kind of reminding us, yes. Listen before you do anything. And then when you hear the Word of God, when you get the message of what you need to do, then just don't stand there, act. And that's what he's telling us. When I was a little girl, I remember hearing from teachers, I think I heard from my mother as well, don't just stand there and do something. Anyone ever hear that before? Yeah? Sounds familiar? And then of course Nike kind of abbreviated it. And I just noticed it on somebody's shirt the other day when I was standing in front of my school waiting for the bus. Just do it. Heard that before, right? That's kind of an abbreviated form of the same message. Yeah, so that's what actually my message topic is today. Just do it. And that's what James is trying to tell us. Now, James got, you might say, argued a bit in his writings against what Paul had said, that you're just justified by your faith, in your faith only. And what James basically said is, you want to know about my faith? Watch me. See what I do. That your faith and your works go together. They are your actions, and they're very important because it's an expression of your faith. Most people don't just sit in a chair all day, do they? No. Yeah, because you have certain beliefs, things that you feel that you need to do. And so that's what it's really all about. I want to talk about Friday night, okay? Friday night, we had a banquet here.
Right.
And it was some of you attended, right?
Yeah.
Yes, wonderful.
Now, we were not expecting, I wasn't personally expecting more than 40 people. And Ali, who put it on, was hoping to have 50. We had over 70 people there. We ran out of plates, And Ian, bless your little heart, you ran down there and got some more plates. I mean, we had plates. I don't expect the church to have to pay for an outside banquet with our plates. So I thought we had plenty of plates. We had 64, all right? And bowls and forks and spoons and everything. We had over 70 people. Most people did not have seconds, okay? They didn't. But this is the thing that follows exactly what James said. Don't just sit, don't just sit there and say, I believe I should help out. It was amazing the way people got up after it was over. I didn't have to say anything to anyone and remind them, we'd really appreciate it if you would stack the chairs. We would really like it if you would take the tablecloths and fold them over. We'd really like it if you put the trash, together. It was amazing how people came together and they were looking at the chairs. I explained to them that they don't all match, so you have to kind of find out which one is which to stack it on. People just did it. It was amazing. I was so thrilled that we had this. And the kitchen didn't look too bad either. They were cleaning the kitchen and everything, and they were made sure that there weren't a bunch of pots and pans or anything, hanging around there, where the little critters could get to it the next day. It was just wonderful. I was so pleased with that. And that's really what James is talking about. There are needs that need to be filled. He was talking about widows and orphans, but we have just common things like going to a party or being with a bunch of people and not leaving all the dirty messes behind for them to do. That we're in this together. And that's what it's really all about. The other thing I was thinking about is just being there for people. And this is also another example of the importance of your presence. I think many of you heard on the news, I know they were talking about it this morning, they were talking about it yesterday, about the man who lost his wife in El Paso. She was shot, and he had no children, he had no relatives, and he felt so lonely and all alone. And he said, everybody, was invited to her funeral. And everybody came too. Wasn't that wonderful? That people came. They didn't know him. Maybe there were a few people that did, but most of these people did not know him. They saw there was a need. There was a man who was hurting. He was experiencing so much pain inside at the loss of his wife. And without a family around, it really makes a difference to have other people that say, I'll be there. I will support you. I will stand with you. And all of these people, they filled the church beyond its capacity there for the funeral service. That is what James is talking about. We need to see a need and we need to act upon it. That's part of our, not what we believe, but if we want to really show people what we believe, we do something, don't we? We don't just sit in our chair. There was another example of something that happened, and I don't know if this little girl survived or not. This I just heard on the news. She was I think she was on the second floor of an apartment building, and they put the sofa right by a window, and she was jumping up and down on the sofa. And the window was open, there was a screen there, but her weight pushed the screen out. She fell 15 feet, but on her head. Now, a lot of people would get grossed out. Anyone who has dealt with head injuries, I know you have as a nurse. Anybody else see what happens when your head splits open? It's pretty gross, isn't it? Your head bleeds a lot. But there were people there who cared, and before the paramedics arrived, and we don't know if she's going to make it, she's in grave condition. People were there comforting her, and she wasn't breathing. Somebody was doing the CPR kind of thing, with the breathing. And just be there with her in her real time of need. That's what James is talking about. This is not something that costs money. It's not like you have to write out a check. something that as human beings, created by a God who loves us all, are to do for each other. And when you see someone who's lonely, when you see somebody in trouble, that they need assistance, when you see that there's a job that needs to be done to help out, we just do it, right? Just do it. And then we really work on becoming the people that God has called us to be.
Jolene,
What?
I still remember about the foreign exchange policy was in Turkey. He was passing by the apartment and he saw the little girl was going to fall into one of the grab her.
Well, that was another one. Yeah, that was another case where somebody actually was there to grab the child. Yeah. All right. Are we ready to sing our closing song? Yes? Stand if you'd like.